Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Geraldine Ralph. If this is your first time here, I have an early childhood program in my home where I care for up to 12 little ones under the age of 5, and I create content to help you run an amazing early childhood program in your home. So today I am going to be sharing with you 5 pros and 5 cons to having a home daycare in your home. I have been working with children for over 20 years and 25 years. I don't know, my son's 26 years, guys, 26 years I've been working with children. And I started my program because I wanted to be home with my children. I just really strongly believe firmly in having the first 5 years at home with me. That's what I wanted for my children. That's what I wanted to give my family. It was a gift that I believe will continue to go with my children for their whole lives. My kids can tell you all sorts of fun stories about having a home daycare. But anyways, so 5 reasons why you should have a home daycare, or why I chose to have a home daycare in my home. Number 1, obviously, I wanted to be home with my children. For me personally, I had worked in a center, and then I worked as a nanny, and then I went back to the center, and then I just ultimately ended up opening up my home daycare. A big thing for me was being home and being available to my children throughout the day. The first 5 years of their lives, I just really wanted to be the person that was their go-to person, the guiding person in their life. And I really strongly believe in home connection. That was really important to me when my kids were little. Also, I was nannying, and I was taking care of my aunt's children. I really wanted to be able to be there for extended family. I had other family members that were coming in and out of my program, and I just really felt like it would give my children that extra emotional grounding and foundation, so that when they go off into the world, they feel really secure and really confident and really connected with me and with our family. So that was my number 1 thing, was to be able to be home with my kids. My second reason that I love home daycare, second thing that I really think was great, is that I could create my own schedule. So if you work for somebody else, obviously you kind of have to adhere to whatever schedule you agree on with your boss, and there's not always the flexibility. I did love working from home because I had the ability to create my own flexible schedule. When I first opened my program, I was year-round, and then I just discovered that working year-round from like 7:30 to 6 was too many hours for me. I just felt like I didn't have enough time for my family. So then I ended up going to a school schedule where I could be off during the summers, and my entire program was catered towards school teachers. So the school teachers in my children's school are the people that I marketed to. And the really great thing about that is I met a lot of really wonderful moms. We became friends. We're still friends to this day. My kids were going to their school, and I always felt like my kids' behavior is like the calling card for my business. So when my kids would go out there, it'd be like, okay, you see, my kids are sweet, they're fun, they're nice, they get along with other kids, they have good moral values, all of those kinds of things. So it was really helpful to have that school schedule and to be able to be working with teachers. Also, another added bonus for those of you who don't know this, working with teachers is wonderful because they really respect what we do. They understand the value of the educational component and the home component and all of that, that community and connection that comes from being a part of a home daycare. So scheduling is a big deal. My first schedule, like I said, I was working year-round, and I was working from like 7:30 to 6 or something like that. Then I went to the teacher's schedule, and that was great. Then I ended up needing to make more money, and my kids went off to school, so I went back to a year-round schedule. They didn't need me to be home as much, and then I would just have like 2 weeks vacation like a lot of other people do. And then I went through another big change in my life, and I wanted to take Fridays off because I was just like overwhelmed from work. So I went to a 4-day work week, and then I had a 3-day work week. I went from a 5-day work week to a 4-day work week, and that was really great for me because it just fit my life better. Now I'm back to a 5-day work week and saving money for retirement, yay, all that kind of stuff. So anyways, so home with the kids, scheduling is a really big deal. Let's see, tax write-offs. This is the third pro to having a home daycare. If you are running a home daycare in your home and you have small children, everything you purchase for your children, well, provided that it is used in your program, is a tax write-off. So let's say, your kids are really into Legos and you go out for Christmas and you blow whatever, $500 on Legos. a portion of the Legos that you purchased for your home can also be written off for your business if your children share those Legos with the daycare children. So, like if you wanted to put in a play structure, if you wanted to, put a big sand pit in your backyard, whatever you want to do for your own family and for your own children becomes a tax write-off for you. So that's really big. Other things are tax write-offs, like, if you're brushing the children's teeth, a portion of your toothpaste, like everything that you can imagine that you buy for your home is a partial tax write-off. And if you want to learn more about that, you definitely want to check into Tom Copeland's work. He has a body of work and several books all about home daycares, and specifically for home daycares and how we can write things off in our businesses. But I'm just going to touch on that and say that is definitely a pro to having a home daycare. So you can even write off things like, towels. If you buy new towels, dish soap, everything you can imagine, you can write off a portion of that for your business. Also your house payment. You get to write off a portion of your house payment, your electricity, your cable, everything you have for your house. Let's see. Another thing that I always thought to be a big pro is that you don't have to drive to work. So, everybody else wakes up in the morning, you got to be on that time schedule. Of course, when you're running a home daycare, you do have to have a schedule. It is important to do that. But, let's just say you're having an off morning and you can't get your act together on time. Or let's say you open at 7:30 and your kids don't come in till 8:30. Well, hey, you get a bonus hour to do whatever it is that you want to do. Maybe you want to read a book. Maybe you want to do some laundry. Maybe you got to catch up some emails or chat with your sister. Whatever it is that you want to do, you had the time to do that now because you don't have to be to work at a certain time. Plus, of course, you don't have to have the added expense of a second car. If you and your family are just starting out, you're working on a budget, whatever, that's a wonderful thing. To me, that was a big deal, not having any drive time. Especially when my kids were younger, because then it was like, I don't have to pack my kids up in the car and, whatever, do all of this and get them to all these different places. To me, that was very stressful when I had been working outside of the home. And my fifth is that it's not very expensive to start up a home daycare. It's especially if you already have children. Now, I'm assuming that you have children. A lot of my pros are related to people who have children. Even if you don't have children, I guess if you have a lot of space, whatever. It's not that expensive to start up a home daycare because you already have a lot of the stuff. I'm assuming you have the space, of course, if you have a home. And as far as toys and things like that, you can just add to your collection. You can go on Marketplace. You can ask your friends whose children have outgrown things. They will be happy to donate things to you. And then it's a relatively inexpensive business to start up. So those are my 5 pros. And we're going to go into the 5 cons now. 5 reasons why it's challenging to have a home daycare. Obviously, number 1, wear and tear on your house. You have people coming in and out of the house. For me personally, I have found it's really important to have good boundaries between like personal space and business space. I have a designated childcare program in my basement, and when I have my families come in, I'm very concrete about this is our childcare space, this is our family space. Please do not let your kids go rip roaring through my family space. They're not allowed in there. They're allowed in the childcare space. So there's a lot of wear and tear on your house, but kind of the offset for that is, let's say you have a cracked driveway. Well, a portion of that is a tax write-off because your home is your business. So, it's a con, but it just depends on how good you are at setting boundaries. And it also depends on, just your personal situation. Number 2, kids and family not loving the home daycare. Again, this goes right back to having really good boundaries, moms and dads, or moms. I'm assuming it's mostly moms here that are starting up their home daycares. It's so important for you to have really good boundaries around your children's, your children's play space, your children's toys, your family's space and your business space. Because if you just have parents wandering through your personal space, let's say your husband has the day off and he does, he wants to just hang out and watch TV or whatever he wants to do. He doesn't want to have to feel like he has to get up and, chat with all of your clients when they're coming in. It's just kind of awkward if you're sharing that space. So it's really good to have boundaries. And there are a few things, if you're struggling with that, like with your kids and your family, sharing space with your childcare program, make sure you leave a comment below. I have a few tips and strategies to help you out with that, but that is definitely something that has been an issue with my family. So, but we work it out and figure it out. Anyways, and then my third con to having a home daycare is that it can be isolating. I mean, you're working from home all day. A lot of home daycares are solo, self-employed people. We don't always have assistants. I currently have assistants right now and I'm loving it. It's awesome. But when I didn't have any assistants, it's like all day long. I'm working with these children by myself. So, if I am having a bad day, I don't really have anybody there I can talk to. If I'm, whatever, when you're working day in and day out in this field, it could be very isolating. And my fourth con to having a home daycare would be the hours. It's a crazy number of hours, guys. You're working a lot of hours. You have, for me personally, I work from 7:30 to 5. Those are my hours. I try to keep as much of my work time or my work during my work time and not in my personal time. But there are things that I end up doing in my personal time for my business. So, you got those really long hours. It just depends on, how you divide up your time and how you feel about that. I've also found that having really good boundaries around my time helps out. I do not have clients that call and text on the weekends usually. I love my family. So, if they did, it wouldn't be a problem. But my clients are really good about respecting my off time. So that could be an issue if you have a home daycare, the long hours. And my fifth con would be if you go through any sort of big major life change in your family, that could be really challenging if you have a home daycare. I have personally been divorced since I've run my home daycare. So that was a challenge. I had my home daycare in my marital home, and then we got divorced. And so there was a period of time where it was like, I didn't really want to talk about my divorce with my families because obviously it was a very personal, situation. And then also just like having my families, worry about whether or not they're going to have childcare. I was like, now my livelihood is affected because, if they become concerned about my ability to provide childcare because, whatever's going on in my home that's creating this divorce, whatever. It was just like a whole thing. So that is definitely a con, is if there's a major life change in your life, if you go through a divorce, or if you, God forbid, have an illness or something like that, it can be a little bit challenging because your business is in your home and, whatever. So that would be my list of pros and cons. So anyways, I would love to know what you think are pros and cons for your business if you have a home daycare. Or if you have any questions about any of the things on my list, I am happy to share more. I'll go into a deep dive with you guys because I, again, have been through all of the things on my list. I've been doing this for a really long time, so I have lots of things to share with you. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and thanks for stopping by.